My 31 male, fiance, 34 female, cheated and got pregnant by the other guy. In the almost 10 years since we first met, my girlfriend, with whom I've been dating for 4 years, and I have been engaged to be married. Certainly, we had our high points and low points, as I'm sure everyone has, but it was never as a result of anything illegal or immoral on our side, as far as I know. When my so started a new job around 6 months ago, I began to notice/feel/see more red flags in our relationship, which continued to grow. It brought us both great satisfaction to learn that she would now be able to pursue a profession with her new qualifications, something I had pushed her to do throughout her undergraduate studies prior to her new job as a teacher. She has met some new acquaintances now that she has been working for a few months and has had the opportunity to get to know them better. Therefore, her staying out till 3 o'clock in the morning or being out overnight, she claims she stayed at her sister's place, and not returning home until the next day were the first red flags. Because I am a trustworthy person, I made the decision to ignore the information without further examination. According to the information she supplied me at the time, she then travels out of state with her new work colleagues to a beach that is around 6 hours away, which is approximately 6 hours away. She went to a bar while on her beach vacation, where she met a man with whom she had contact, according to reports. Consider the following scenario: my so returns home after a vacation and informs me the next day that she must leave in order to review our engagement and relationship. Obviously, the fact that I've been going about my business as usual without seeing anything unusual, at this moment, I'm not aware of any instances of cheating, has taken me by complete surprise. It took all I had to convince her to remain, including a promise to take her to counseling. She refused and left, claiming she was sleeping at her sister's home, which she later confirmed was correct. Her return was finally met with a statement stating that she wanted to work on her issues and that she was prepared to attend couples counseling with her husband and children. She informed me that she was having a kid 3 weeks prior to this. For the second time, I'm a trusting person, so I believe it to be mine, particularly because my wife and I have been trying to create a family for quite some time. I'm thrilled and immediately begin making baby-related plans, as well as purchasing baby books, corner protectors, and other baby-related products. However, those red flags began to appear in my head, and my thoughts began to swirl around in circles. A consequence of this conversation, I told my girlfriend that I planned to get a paternity test conducted in order to prove my fatherhood. Because of my personal trepidation as well as the reality that I needed to comply with her request, I responded in the yes, but I also said that I had faith in her judgment. She was irritated by my suggestion, so we agreed to put it on the back burner for the foreseeable future. During a conversation about the baby that we were having at home on Friday, I brought up the issue of the paternity test once again. It was as a consequence of this that she finally broke down and revealed to me about her infidelity to me, and how she is certain that her father is the other people. She then informed me that she had made arrangements for an abortion to take place the next week, for the next day. To put it bluntly, I was caught completely by surprise, and my heart was broken as well. My response was not to worry, I'm still waiting for it to happen, but I volunteered to drive her to her abortion appointment since it was about an hour away and I did not want her to become sick or anything else on the way home. Afterwards, she says that when on a beach vacation with her sister, she met this man, and the two of them had relations. Then, she claims that they met up again, I presume on a future visit to her sister's home, although she disputes this, and they had relations for the second time, what she tells me could be more than twice. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that the father had told her that he did not want anything to do with the kid and that he had urged her to have an abortion. My guess is that receiving this news was tough for her to accept since she had been wishing a child for quite some time. He also advised that she get in touch with me about discussing the issue on her own. Lol, I guess they talked about me. It's likely that I would have ended up in that scenario if I hadn't been talking about paternity testing. Within a few months, I had moved out of our apartment and back into my parents' home. It seems like she is making an effort to convey her love for me, but I feel misled and do not see how anything can be addressed at this point in our relationship. That our life together has been destroyed, and that I have lost my companion, her dog, despite the fact that I am always at home with it since I WFH, as well as all of the other things that break when a relationship ends, makes me quite depressed. To put it another way, I'm seeking for some direction on what I should be doing next. Alternatively, I'd want to know if anybody has any thoughts on how I might begin experiencing the impacts of this, since I'm currently feeling lifeless and would appreciate any help. Edit 1. Thank you for your support and encouragement. Around 85% of my possessions have been transported. The remainder are in storage and packaged up, so I'll have to schedule some time with the ex-fiance to look through it all. Nevertheless, after the last trip there is accomplished, I'll be completely relocated to the new location. I was able to get everything of significant value out of there for me. Edit 2. I had to go over and assist her in getting rid of the remaining items since her lease was set to end on December 31, 2021, but she hadn't completely moved out of the house by that time. Initially, I had the idea that there was a lot more work to be done, but fortunately, it wasn't that awful, and it only took me around 2 hours to move everything out of there and into the bus. After that, I said my goodbyes to her without expressing any emotion and walked away. Since then, I haven't seen or heard from her. That left me with just one thing to worry about: automobile insurance, which I canceled and replaced with a new policy. The reason I contacted her was to inform her that her insurance coverage was about to expire and that she had 10 days to get a new policy, so I gave her plenty of notice. I have no idea what she did with the extra time she was given, and it is not my responsibility to find out. 3 years have passed since I contacted her for vehicle insurance on January 3, 2022, and I have not had any more touch with her since that time. She has made no effort to contact me in the last week or so. This is not because I want her to contact me. In fact, I'm relieved that she hasn't sought to contact me through phone or any other means. I got in contact with my landlord, who informed me that I will be getting papers about my early termination fee and how to pay it in the near future. I was relieved. I was overjoyed when I learned of this development. Even though the tenant's portal is available online, my account has been disabled, therefore I am unable to view any of the information. However, the landlord did remark that they already had a new tenant lined up, which turned out to be accurate. This is due to the fact that they have not provided me with any information on how this termination fee would be computed. But since I haven't paid anything yet, I'm just sitting here waiting for it to arrive in the mail at some time. I'm wondering whether there's anything specific to COVID that prohibits them from billing me, or if there's some other restriction that I'm not aware of that keeps them from charging me. The invoice is almost likely to arrive, but it would be a pleasant surprise to not be required to pay the $3,000. With that out of the way, things have been going nicely for me. I have not yet suffered any kind of emotional suffering due to this situation. It was as if I hadn't cried a single tear for her or for the termination of our relationship in the previous several months. I feel I have reclaimed my independence. I've been working out at the gym, taking on part-time jobs, and participating in my interests whenever the chance presents itself to me. In addition, I had planned a rock climbing and trekking vacation with one of my closest friends, whom I don't get to see very frequently these days because of our hectic schedules. Decisions are made on my own, without the need to contact anybody else or check on our financial situation or make sure that our calendars are organized, which is pretty freeing. The fact that I have unlimited freedom to do anything I want is astonishing to me. Someone commented on this page that I hadn't been sad because my future self knew how wonderful my life would be one day, and I believe this to be true more and more every day as time goes on. In my youth, I felt restricted, but I no longer feel that way, and I want to experience all that life has to offer at this point in my life. Story 2. What was once a beautiful love story turned into horror. Wife cheated and destroyed my life. In 2016, I relocated to another nation to marry the love of my life. I gave up everything: friends, family, and my job. I was willing to start all over again for her. And everything was flawless from the start. We began experiencing issues almost precisely a year ago. I was still unable to work or drive due to immigration procedures, and I was quite lonely. My wife became weary of me and began to hang out with a buddy who didn't like me, and I wasn't permitted to accompany her. My wife would often refuse to return home to sleep. And in the midst of it all, I discovered she was having an affair with a coworker. Her companion was aware of it and urged her to pursue it. I informed her family that I couldn't handle it any longer and that I was leaving. My wife then attempted suicide. I intervened, she apologized, vowed to reform, and I remained. But it wouldn't be for long. She put on a brave front for a while, but I subsequently discovered that she was texting her friend and boyfriend at the same time, stating she hoped I would just go. Her family refused to talk to her after discovering she had cheated, but I persuaded them to accept her back. I discovered she was still cheating a few months later. I wanted to leave her, but I couldn't since it had been a year and I had turned down a job offer after graduating from college. I had relatives and friends, but no inheritance. I'd returned to live with my folks. So I approached her family for assistance and decided to join the military to give myself a chance to live without her. My wife, on the other hand, came home distraught and persuaded me to give her another opportunity. That's exactly what I did. I'm not proud of it, but I love her a lot. I didn't want to be without her. I persuaded her family to accept her back once again. And then I began working. I worked 2 jobs, made more money than my wife, and assumed everything would be okay. I was also accepted into 2 graduate programs, and I was so excited that I believed she'd be pleased. Because she said she strayed since she didn't feel she had a spouse because I couldn't work and provide for her. But then she changed. She began to belittle my occupations, claiming that I wouldn't be able to get a job with prestige anytime soon, which disturbed her. Then one night, after working all day, I arrived home and my wife did not. She went out for the night without informing me. She had cheated again. And this time she was able to persuade her family that she was not cheating and that I was abusing her, a lie. As a result, everyone turned their backs on me, leaving me alone in a foreign nation. I was still living with my wife, but she seldom came home, and her relatives told me that I should simply let her do it since she wasn't cheating and I was crazy. I was afraid that returning to my home country would destroy my life, so I began working harder and earning more money. But my wife wasn't satisfied with just straying. She wanted me gone, so she blackmailed me, threatening to have me deported. She came home with a strange man one night and nearly got me into a fight, so I realized I had no option but to leave. That's exactly what I did. She wouldn't let me go until I booked my trip, but at the last minute she changed her mind and urged me to remain. It was my third time quitting both jobs, and I was afraid, so I left. And I returned to my own nation to find nothing. There is no work. There is no revenue. I live with my parents. My wife kept promising to mend things and move in with me. I told her I'd give her a chance and began making plans to have her here. She abruptly gave up and asked me to return. I also said okay, but had to reschedule all of my plans. Finally, after I had done all I could to go back, she informed me she wanted a divorce when it was her chance to act. She accused me of abandoning her, despite the fact that I made every effort to remain. She said I was possessive because I didn't want her to hang out with the man with whom she cheated on me and his buddies. And I discovered significant proof that she is still cheating on her previous lover, a man she accused of abusing her and raping her. Now, here's my predicament. I'm stranded in my home nation during an economic downturn. I have a decent degree, but I haven't studied in 2 years since I had to leave everything to marry. I have a green card, but it belongs to my wife, and I'm not sure I can use it. After all of this, I acquired anxiety and sadness. I'm heartbroken because I adore that lady. I used to have decent employment and had been admitted to 2 graduate programs, but now I have nothing. She ruined my life. I didn't do anything wrong, and yet I'm the one who has to pay for everything. My wife retained our dogs, despite the fact that she hardly cares for them, and I miss them terribly. Please accept my apologies for the lengthy article. I needed to express myself. For a long time, I kept everything to myself in the hopes that she would change. But I'm at a breaking point. I originally submitted this on another subreddit, but was told to publish it here instead.